Hey guys, welcome back. In my previous session, I discussed about respiratory organs. The link is provided in the description. You can watch it for the details. Today, I'll be discussing about the topic mechanism of breathing from the chapter Breathing and Exchange of Gases from class 11 biology. Let's start with today's topic. Mechanism of breathing. Breathing is a process of moving air into and out of the lungs to facilitate gas exchange with the internal environment, mostly bringing in oxygen and releasing out carbon dioxide. This breathing process involves two stages. They are inspiration and expiration. During inspiration, atmospheric air is drawn into the body, and during expiration, alveolar air is released out. Alveoli are the functional units in the lungs. Here, the movement of air into and out of the lungs is carried out by creating a pressure gradient between the lungs and atmosphere. This pressure gradient is nothing but difference in the pressure. And this pressure gradient is between lungs and atmosphere. Moving to the next. Inspiration can occur if the pressure within the lungs, called intrapulmonary pressure. The pressure within the lungs is intrapulmonary pressure. Inspiration can occur if the intrapulmonary pressure is less than the atmospheric pressure. That is, there is a negative pressure in the lungs with respect to atmospheric pressure. Similarly, expiration takes place when the intrapulmonary pressure is higher than the atmospheric pressure. During these processes of inspiration and expiration, diaphragm and intercostal muscles that are present between the ribs play very important role. Actually, the diaphragm and specialized set of muscles called external and internal intercostal muscles between the ribs, they help in generation of such pressure gradients. So, they have an important role. As we discussed in the earlier session, diaphragm is a internal skeletal muscle that separates thoracic cavity from abdomen, and intercostal muscles are present between the ribs. Inspiration is initiated by contraction of diaphragm, which increases the volume of thoracic chamber in the antero-posterior axis. You can see here in the diagram, this is diaphragm, a sheet of internal skeletal muscle. When it contracts, the volume inside the thoracic chamber will increase in antero-posterior axis. This is called antero-posterior axis. So, in this axis, the volume is increasing when the diaphragm contracts. The contraction of external intercostal muscles lifts up the ribs and sternum, causing an increase in the volume of thoracic chamber in the dorsoventral axis. You can see here in the diagram, when the intercostal muscles contract, they pull the ribs and sternum upwards. Sternum is a breastbone. It is a flat, long bone present in the central part of the chest. So these ribs and sternum are raised due to contraction of intercostal muscles, and as a result, the volume inside the thoracic chamber increases in dorsoventral axis. Dorsal is back side of our body, ventral is front side. So in this dorsoventral direction, okay, now the volume increases. Due to the contraction of diaphragm, the volume is increasing in antero-posterior axis. Due to contraction of intercostal muscles, the volume is increasing in dorsoventral axis. As a whole, due to increased volume in the thoracic chamber, the air pressure decreases. The overall increase in the thoracic volume causes similar increase in pulmonary volume. Important statement. I repeat this again. The overall increase in the thoracic volume causes a similar increase in pulmonary volume. Here we discussed about the changes that occur in the thoracic chamber due to the contraction of the muscles, diaphragm and intercostal muscles. Here, an increase in the pulmonary volume decrease the intrapulmonary pressure to less than the atmospheric pressure, which forces the air from outside to move into the lungs. This is what we call inspiration. Now, relaxation of diaphragm and the intercostal muscles returns the diaphragm and sternum to their normal positions and reduce the thoracic volume and thereby the pulmonary volume. If you look here in this diagram, diaphragm is relaxed. It is moving in this direction, that is relaxing and arched upwards. When the diaphragm is arched upwards, the volume in the thoracic chamber decreases. And also, when the intercostal muscles relax, then ribs and sternum return to their original position. So the volume decreases. So because of the relaxation of diaphragm and intercostal muscles, the volume inside the thoracic chamber and hence the pulmonary chamber, pulmonary cavity decreases. So because of this, an increase in intrapulmonary pressure occurs. So because of increase in the intrapulmonary pressure above the atmospheric pressure, that causes the expulsion of air from the lungs to outside the body. That is called expiration. You can see in the diagram, the air is expelled from the lungs because there is a high pressure inside the thoracic cavity. After this, we have the ability to increase the strength of inspiration and expiration with the help of additional muscles in the abdomen. Yes, I repeat this again. We have the ability to increase the strength of inspiration. We can forcibly inhale air. We can forcibly exhale air. This is possible because of some additional muscles in the abdomen. On an average, a healthy human breathes 12 to 16 times per minute. Very important question for your exams. I repeat this again. On an average, a healthy human breathes 12 to 16 times per minute. Important. Now, the volume of air involved in breathing movements can be estimated by using an apparatus called spirometer. This spirometer helps in clinical assessment of pulmonary functions. So, spirometer is an apparatus that measures the volume of air that is inhaled or exhaled. After this, now let's discuss one more topic, that is respiratory volumes. Here, tidal volume, one of the very important word, very important concept. Tidal volume, in short, TV. This is volume of air inspired or expired during a normal respiration, during the normal breathing process. How much volume of air is inhaled or exhaled, that represents tidal volume. It is approximately 500 ml. That is, a healthy man can inspire or expire approximately 6,000 to 8,000 ml of air per minute. So that is called tidal volume. Now, inspiratory reserve volume, IRV. It is an additional volume of air a person can inspire by forcible inspiration. As we discussed, because of some additional muscles in the abdomen, forcibly we can inhale. So, an additional volume of air a person can inspire by a forcible inspiration. This averages 2500 ml to 3000 ml. This is inspiratory reserve volume, in short IRV. Moving to the next, expiratory reserve volume, in short ERV. It is an additional volume of air a person can expire by forcible expiration. It is about 1000 ml to 1100 ml. So this is an average value of expiratory reserve volume, 1000 ml to 1100 ml. After this, residual volume. This is the volume of air remaining in the lungs even after a forcible expiration. Very important concept. I repeat this again. Residual volume. Volume of air remaining in the lungs even after forcible expiration. And this averages 1100 ml to 1200 ml. And the significance of residual volume is, this volume of air is responsible for continuous gas exchange that occurs between the successive breaths. So that is the importance of residual volume. After this, one more concept is pulmonary capacities. By adding few respiratory volumes, one can derive pulmonary capacities, which have a lot of importance in clinical diagnosis. So, combination of few respiratory volumes give pulmonary capacities. Let's discuss about these pulmonary capacities. The first, inspiratory capacity, in short IC. The total volume of air a person can inspire after a normal expiration is inspiratory capacity. I repeat this once again. The total volume of air a person can inspire after a normal expiration is inspiratory capacity. So, it includes tidal volume and inspiratory reserve volume. As we discussed, pulmonary capacity is a combination of few respiratory volumes, and here you can see tidal volume and inspiratory reserve volume. Combination is giving inspiratory capacity. Moving to the next, expiratory capacity. This is the total volume of air a person can expire after a normal inspiration. Again, this includes tidal volume and expiratory reserve volume. Here also we can see the combination of two different respiratory volumes, that is tidal volume and expiratory reserve volume. The combination of these two gives expiratory capacity. Moving to the next, functional residual capacity, in short FRC. The volume of air that will remain in the lungs after a normal expiration is functional residual capacity. I repeat this once again. Functional residual capacity is the volume of air that will remain in the lungs after a normal expiration, and it is a combination of ERV and RV. So ERV is expiratory reserve volume, RV is residual volume. So the combination of these two, ERV and RV, gives functional residual capacity. Moving to the next, vital capacity, in short VC. This is the maximum volume of air a person can breathe in after a forced expiration. I repeat this once again. Vital capacity is the maximum volume of air a person can breathe in after a forced expiration. This includes ERV, TV and IRV, or the maximum volume of air a person can breathe out after a forced inspiration. This is vital capacity. Moving to the next, total lung capacity, TLC. The total volume of air accommodated in the lungs at the end of a forced inspiration. I repeat this again. Total lung capacity, TLC, is the total volume of air accommodated in the lungs at the end of a forced inspiration. This includes RV, ERV, TV and IRV, or vital capacity plus residual volume. So in short, TLC, total lung capacity, is the combination of vital capacity and residual volume. Or you can see here, residual volume, ERV, expiratory reserve volume, tidal volume, inspiratory reserve volume. So the combination of all these four respiratory volumes is giving total lung capacity. This is all about today's session. Let's now discuss some important questions based on the topics that we have discussed. The first question: contraction of diaphragm increases the volume of thoracic chamber in the dash axis. Answer is antero-posterior axis. Second question: on an average, a healthy human breathes dash times per minute. Answer is 12 to 16 times per minute. Next question: dash is the volume of air remaining in the lungs even after a forcible expiration. Answer is residual volume. And the last question: vital capacity plus residual volume gives. Answer is total lung capacity. This is all about today's session. For more videos, please subscribe to my channel. If you like this, please share the video with your friends. I'll be back with another session. Have a great day. Thank you very much.